Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Hey guys, my name's Crystal Kenny, and I'm in love with creating. All things artistic and imagination involved. I'm an American girl who chased her creative dreams all the way to Paris, France, making a living using photography. This podcast takes you inside the stories of all the artsy folks I've met along the way and gives you that extra push to discover your creative gifts. The desire to create is deeply inside each and every one of us, and I give you the tools and inspiration to find a new way of living a more creative life. This is La Vie Creative, the podcast. Today on the show, I interviewed Carol. She's an Italian-American who is now living in Paris, France, running her own soap-making business. Her products are all natural, and we talk about the soap-making process and what it's like to source natural ingredients. I hope you guys enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, Carol. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me.
It's lovely to speak with you. I was admiring your work online, and I don't think I've ever had a soap maker on the show, so I'm pretty excited to talk to you today. So we kind of go back to the beginning of what started everything for you. You're kind of Italian-American. Tell us your roots. Tell us what brought you to Paris.
Yes, I'm Italian. I was born and raised in Italy in a city called Pescara. It's in the center of Italy by the Adriatic Sea. It's very nice. It's a mid-sized city. So I was born there. My parents lived in the United States for a very long time when they were younger. And then at some point, they decided to move back to Italy. So I did all my studies in Italy. I have a master's degree in economics and business. So I was doing a completely different career. After my studies, I moved to Rome. I lived in Rome for a little bit. I worked in consulting. And then I moved to New York. I decided to spend some time in New York, have some work experience, improve my English. And I stayed 13 years in New York, working in construction management as an accountant. I was accounting manager for a construction management firm.
And so your life completely changed, it sounds like, during the pandemic.
Yes.
When I was reading online. Talk more about that.
Yes, during the pandemic, as everybody else, we were stuck at home. We were spending a lot of time home. We were washing our hands constantly, more than 5-6 times a day. And I have a young son. At that time, he was 4 years old. His hands were so irritated. I knew how to make a soap, but I tried once way before the pandemic, but I didn't really have time. I had a very hectic life. I was living in the morning, coming back at night. I never had the time, even though I wanted to make it, but there was no opportunity. So I had a lot of time at home. And during the pandemic, I decided this is the time I need to start to make it. I had a recipe already done by a friend, given by a friend. So that's how I started. I made one, then I made two, and then I was not completely satisfied. I wanted to learn more about soap making. So I started to research. I did a training course in solid cosmetics. I wanted a product that really completely satisfied me.
That's so crazy to go from accounting and construction to making soap. I mean, I love that for you. And what gave you the inspiration, the bravery to move full-time into soap making? I mean, that was a big step.
Yeah, I started because I really liked it. I discovered to be creative. I was an accountant during the day, and at night, after my son was in bed, I started to make soap one day after the other. And then I thought, this is really making me happy. And in New York, I started a side gig. I opened an LLC on the side. It's so easy to open a business in New York, just for fun. I was selling to neighbors, friends, and colleagues. But then when we moved to, my husband is French. For some time, we started to think probably during the pandemic that we wanted to have a better quality of life, work-life balance, a better work-life balance. We wanted also to be closer to the family, so that's why we decided to move to Paris. And when my husband was ready, he was looking for a job, and I quit my job in New York, and then we moved. And I thought this is a good opportunity to start something new.
That's wonderful. You came back to Europe. You are able to start this new business and talk about some of the obstacles with that. I mean, you went from working for someone else to working completely for yourself. So what was that like, or what was some of the hard parts of that?
Yeah, in the beginning, it was not easy. I started in September 2022. First obstacle was to learn about the regulation. It's something that I was not aware. The European regulation for cosmetic is really strict. So I spent 1 year to really study all the regulation. I did 101 calls with a consultant because all the products need to be authorized by a toxicologue, is a chemist who's approving that it's safe for the market, for the consumers. So there is a lot of studies before. So this was really hard for me. On top of that, French language. I knew French, but not at a fluent level, so it was hard.
Yeah, I can't imagine starting this business that's so chemical and then also
Yes.
another language. It's like there's a lot of layers there to deal with. And talk a little bit about some of the differences between America and France in that way, because I know a lot of people talk about that with the food, how, they're strict about the food too, but it's the same thing, like you said, with products. Like, I think they're much more strict in Europe. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. Well, the objective is to protect the customer, the consumer, the people who are using the products. So it makes sense. I understand. It makes a little bit. It's complicated for us on the beginning, just to study all the regulation and be ready to open a business. So it takes some time, but once it's all set up, it's fine. But yes, definitely there is more regulation here besides opening the business. But for cosmetic, every single ingredient has to have a certification. And then all the certifications are analyzed by a chemist who has to approve the sale for the market.
Yeah, and like you said, it's to protect the consumer, which is a good thing. And I always laugh because, like, a lot of times when I go home to the States, my friends in Europe will say, "Oh, bring me back this makeup. I can't get it in France." And I'm like, it's probably because it gives you cancer. They have more strict rules around that. But yeah, it's really interesting that, and it is good that we're protecting the consumer. And can you talk a little bit about the history of soap making? I'm sure you've done a lot of studying on it, and now I know we have like industrial soaps, but talk about the history of like handmade soap making.
Yeah, it's an ancestral tradition. Our grandmothers were making soap at home in the old days. So it's really going back to the old traditions and the old way of doing things compared to the soaps that you buy in the stores that are industrially made and also not very sustainable. It's part of the vision of my brand is also to inspire people of making sustainable choices while they are doing their self-care rituals. So in fact, in my pages, in my Instagram page or on my website, I raise awareness about palm oil impact, plastic pollution, reading the labels, choosing for sustainable ingredients versus the mass-produced products who have mostly palm oil is everywhere.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about that. When we're looking at the ingredients on a handmade soap bar, what should we be looking for?
Well, definitely, there are some ingredients that are animal-based or vegetable-based. My products are only 100% vegetable. Everywhere, if you go to a regular store, there is palm oil. So there's many palm oil is eaten almost everywhere. But majority of the time is if you want to opt for a sustainable product, is the best is to avoid soaps with palm oil.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of talk about palm oil in the recent years, and talk about some of the problems with that, how we get it, what's the reason we're trying to stay away from palm oil?
Well, palm oil is a cheap ingredient, but it's very efficient. So it's used a lot in the food industry, but also in cosmetics, because it's really efficient and at a very low price, it can give you a good product, a hard product, especially in soap. Hard palm oil makes very hard soap. But the mass production of palm oil causes massive deforestation. So deforestation and that of many animal species. So this is the problem with palm oil that many people do not know. And in fact, when I started to make soap, I started to research on ingredients, and I discovered many of these issues with palm oil, with cruelty-free ingredients. There's a lot of issues also with the production of coconut oil. We can stay hours talking essential oils. Also, it's very important to read about essential oils that are sustainable.
Yeah, because also essential oils are very popular right now and trending. Everyone says, oh, use essential oils, but they're not all sustainable. They're not all good, is what you're saying.
Not all the time. Yes, there are some that are okay. There are some plants, but there are some essential oils, like, for example, sandalwood, frankincense. The scents are really, really nice, but unfortunately, they come from plants that are at risk of extinction because they're over-harvested.
Yeah, and this is just all things we're just not aware about. And since we're making people more aware, it's going to be easier to avoid these issues. And I think that's really beautiful that you're helping people use like more natural products, but also that are sustainable. And talk a little bit about where you source your products and what makes your soap different from others.
Yeah, when I started to research ingredients, and what I wanted also to achieve in my business is to have the opportunity to have a human approach also with my suppliers, a human relationship. So I didn't want to just buy an ingredient that was certified organic, but I also wanted to reach out to the suppliers, to the producers, and talk to them. So I chose to work only with small businesses. They're mostly French. So I have a coconut oil small business in France called Amuyana, and they source coconut oil from Sri Lanka only, from small artisans. They're small businesses who are picking up coconuts with bamboo sticks instead of the bigger intensive production, where there is not really the respect of nature and not also about the animals. One supplier that also I use is in Italy. It's the producer of olive oil, and it's very interesting because they operate, they are carbon neutral in their way of operating. My essential oil suppliers also come from France. They are in the south of France, and they have their own production of lavender essential oil. And also in their philosophy, they operate with a philosophy of zero waste. They try to recycle and reuse everything that comes out even after the production.
It's so nice to know that so many of these things exist and that you guys can work together to create these beautiful products. And, there's a lot of care that goes into this. There's a lot of levels of study and connection that just goes into one bar of soap. So kudos to you guys. That's a lot of work. And talk a little bit about something that people might find surprising about the soap making process.
Well, soap making is really a chemical reaction. What people do not know is it's really a chemical reaction between oils and fats with an alkaline solution. And it's important. There are ways of making soap that are also easier. There are, it's called melt and pour. There are bases of soap already made that you can just simply melt and add your scents, add your essential oils. But that's not really making soap from scratch. So to make soap, you have to really be careful and about safety, because you are dealing with an alkaline solution made with caustic soda, sodium hydroxide. So it's not easy.
Yeah, I think people imagine you just mix a couple things together and that's that. Like, but it can be, it's chemicals, so you have to like make sure you get your quantities right, and it can be dangerous.
You have to calculate the quantities of the ingredients. There are certain ingredients that you cannot use at specific quantities, and others where you can use more. Based on the quantity of each ingredient, you calculate then, there's a lot of math involved. You calculate then the quantity of sodium hydroxide that you can use in your alkaline solution. And then there are the temperatures also. There is a specific temperature where you have to wait that the solutions are at a specific temperature range, and then you can saponify.
What's the difference between liquid soap and bar soap?
It's basically the ingredients. With bar soap, you use sodium hydroxide. With liquid soap, you use other ingredients. Mostly the ones that you see in the supermarket are made with surfactants. They're detergents. They're artificial. In the bar of soap, you only have natural ingredients. So you have olive oil, almond oil. I use shea butter, cocoa butter, coconut oil. Those are all natural ingredients that combine with sodium hydroxide. After the chemical reaction, you obtain a soap. And that's really natural.
I remember during the pandemic we went to the store to buy some soap, and like the shelves had been cleared, all the soap was gone. And the only thing that was left was like the bars of soap. The liquid was all gone. It was like people didn't believe that the bar would kill the germs or something.
Oh, yes, because it was too natural probably, but in reality it does clean.
Yeah, that's what I was reading, is like the these beautiful smelling natural soaps that you make, they still kill germs the same way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
You're still getting clean, guys, don't worry. Well, what are some resources that helped you along your journey? Were there certain places you went to research? Did you connect with people? Like, what helped you to build your business?
Well, I did a lot of training because this was not my background. I have a background in finance and accounting. So I wanted to be proficient in what I was doing. And I wanted to formulate a product that was safe, but on the same time with specific characteristic. So I did a training course in solid self-care products. And then I also did a training course. It was 101 with a French consultant also to learn about the regulation, the European regulation. It's very important before you start, how to set up your laboratory and how to produce, how to have your ingredients, and also how to test your products that they are safe after production.
Yeah, there's a lot of training. And if there's people that want to get into soap making just for fun and not as at the level you're at, is there any recommendations you have for learning?
Well, definitely start simple with very small ingredients and utilize a recipe that is already done and tested. So that's what I did actually. I used a recipe that was already done and tested and safe. And then after studying and after some training, I was able to formulate my own.
Yeah, that's great advice. Just start with what already you know works, and then you can come up with your own idea.
It's also very important how to be safe while doing soap. So you have to cover yourself, use a mask, protect your eyes, and use gloves. So that's also a part that is very important.
Definitely, guys. Be careful when you're doing this stuff. And what's the most rewarding part of your business? What are you enjoying the most?
Well, also share my passion and also see people happy when they buy my products. I also get a lot of feedback from clients about their skin being different. Once they are starting to use the soaps, so the natural soaps are much different from the commercial soaps. So that is the feedback that I get from customers is also very rewarding.
And how would you define creativity in your own words? Obviously, you're creating your own recipes, you're creating, soap, but how would you define creativity in your words?
Yeah, it's really a way to express yourself through your talent, through your experience. It's exploration, experimentation. So there's a lot of test and trials. So that is, I think, it's creativity, a lot of exploration.
I like that, just exploring and testing, especially in your business. And what's some of the best advice you've ever received?
The best is really not to be afraid to make mistakes. So embrace failure. So even if you fail in something, it's an opportunity to learn and make it better for next time.
Yeah, I love the idea of embracing failure. And I think that's something that comes up a lot for people who are starting something new and chasing their dreams, that we're so scared to fail. But in the end, you kind of just really want to fail, because that way you can just move past it and learn. And sounds like, that's what we all have to do. And what would you say to people who don't believe they're creative at all, that don't know what they're good at? How would you help them? What advice could you give them?
To stay curious, to explore, to look for things, because new things come when really you do not expect. So really to stay open-minded and stay curious.
And where do you believe that the soap making industry is going? Do you think people are embracing more and more sustainability? Do you think this is going to keep growing? Do you think people are getting smarter about the products they're buying?
Yes, I think so. Especially in Europe, there is really the sustainability is really strong. There's a lot of talk about plastic pollution, and there's a lot of awareness. So I think that a lot of people are going to more and more utilize solid bars, shampoo, soaps, solid creams. So yes.
Yeah, people are opening their eyes, and there's definitely a lot more talk in the last even 10 years about all this stuff. And talk a little bit about your products and where people can find them, and what's going on with them, anything new coming out.
Yes, I am on my website, bolledinatura.com. I'm also active on Instagram, so people can also DM me and if they're interested in buying. My products also are in 3 stores in Paris, Jacob's Concept Store in Beaugrenelle. In Saint-Maur-des-Fossés, the name is La Pause Fleurie. And there is another boutique, Créateur, in Bagnolet, La Petite Boutique de Bagnolet. So for those who are in those areas, they can buy in store. Otherwise, they can reach out to me, or they can go to my website.
And you ship internationally as well?
Yes, I do.
Wonderful, because I think a lot of our listeners are in the States, and I'm sure they would love to check out your products. So we will share all of that in the show notes. You guys can check out her work, buy some soap, great gifts, guys, even for yourself. I love self-gifts. And thanks so much for talking to me today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for tuning in to La Vie Creative. You can find more information on MissParisPhoto.com. And if you enjoyed this show, please feel free to share and spread the word for all my creative guests. We have the power to help them to keep doing what they love. See you next time.